In the quiet haze of a life built on unspoken shadows, Maya Navarro moves through her days like a ghost in her own skin, the weight of old wounds pressing against the fragile walls of her routine. Years of silence have woven guilt into her every breath, a brother's charm masking the cracks of control that still linger. But this morning, as the first light filters through the blinds, something stirs beneath the surface, a whisper of courage waiting to unravel the lies she's told herself. The alarm buzzes at 6:45, a sharp trill slicing through the dim light of Maya's one-bedroom apartment. The alarm buzzes at 6:45, a sharp trill slicing through the dim light of Maya's one-bedroom apartment. She jolts upright, sheets tangled around her legs like restraints she can't shake. Her hand fumbles for the phone, silencing it with a swipe that's too quick, too practiced. In the kitchenette, the coffee maker gurgles to life. Black, no sugar, the routine anchor. But her fingers drum the counter, nails tapping an erratic rhythm against the formica, echoing the pulse in her throat. She dresses in the mirror, gray blouse, slacks that hang loose from skipped meals, a quick glance at her reflection, eyes darting away before they can linger. On the subway, crammed shoulder to shoulder with strangers, she clutches her bag strap, twisting it until the leather bites her palm. At the office, spreadsheets blur under her gaze. She types, deletes, types again, the cursor blinking like an accusation. Lunch is a half-eaten yogurt at her desk, spoon scraping the plastic cup in short, anxious strokes. By evening, the weight settles heavier. Back in the apartment, the air feels thick, walls closing in like forgotten arguments. Nadia had suggested this, the small rented space downtown, neutral, with its single folding chair and the stand in the corner. Maya sits, the confessional microphone looming before her, its foam windscreen soft and expectant, a black eye waiting to record. She adjusts the levels on the cheap recorder, her breath coming shallow, ragged. The red light blinks on. "Okay," she says, voice barely above a whisper. "This is Maya Navarro, day 1. Pause. Her knee bounces under the table, a tick she can't still. The room smells of stale takeout from lunch, grounding her in the ordinary, even as her mind fractures. "It started small," she begins, eyes fixed on a scuff mark on the floor. "Luca, my brother, he'd say things like, 'You're overreacting, Maya. Family doesn't do that to each other.'" Her voice cracks on the last word, and she swallows, throat dry. The microphone catches it all, the hitch, the unspoken layers. Images flicker in her head, his hand on her shoulder, guiding her choices, his laugh dismissing her protests as childish. But it wasn't small. It built up, controlling, the way he'd twist it so I felt like the problem. She trails off, fingers clenching in her lap. Anxiety coils tighter, a vice around her chest. What if this spills out? Shatters the fragile normalcy she's clung to. The job, the solo dinners, the silence that keeps the world spinning. But she forces a breath, slower now, in through the nose, out through the mouth. Nadia's words echo. Speak it to own it. Her gaze lifts, locking on the microphone's unblinking lens. Not quite steady, but holding. "I think I need to say more about how it made me." The tape whirs softly. She pauses again, the question hanging. Is she ready? The routine phrase at the edges, but the mic listens, pulling the first threads free. Maya's hands trembled on the microphone, the confessional light harsh against her flushed face, sweat beaded on her forehead, her breath coming in shallow bursts. "It started small," she whispered, voice cracking like thin ice. The camera caught it all, her fidgeting fingers twisting a worn keychain, the old family home key dangling like a forgotten anchor. Cut to her apartment now. Heart pounding, Maya paces the cramped space. Phone clutched tight. A text from Luca. "We need to talk. Don't make this worse." Panic surges, chest tight, as if the walls are closing in. She drops to the floor, knees to chest. But the recording app on her laptop blinks. Keep going. She can't stop now. Back to the mic. He'd decide everything. Like college. I wanted art school. Something quiet, away from home. But Luca said, "Maya, think of the family. Law's stable. You'll thank me." And I did. I nodded, because arguing meant his eyes going cold. That sigh, like I was the burden. Her words tumble faster, anxiety knotting her gut. The key slips from her fingers, clinking on the table, cold metal, etched with years of locked doors. Flash, teenage Maya in the family kitchen. Sunlight slanting through yellowed curtains. Luca, 22 and towering, leans on the counter. "That boyfriend? Dump him. He's dragging you down." His voice smooth, charming even, but laced with command. She hesitates, mouth opening. Nothing comes out. Silence, survival. He smiles, pats her shoulder. "Good girl." Present. Maya gasps, slamming her palm on the desk. The key rocks catching light. Rage flickers, hot under the fear. "No, it wasn't small. He isolated me, told Mom I was too sensitive for friends, that I'd embarrass us. Controlled my money, my schedule. For your own good," he'd say. And I let it. Silence kept the peace, right? But it wasn't peace. It was his. Her voice rises, fists clenching. The microphone hums, witness unblinking. Amelia's face in her mind, watching from the sidelines, silent too. But now, this recording binds them, sharpens the rift with Luca into something unbreakable. She leans in, eyes fierce. "He'd gaslight it all away." "You're exaggerating, Maya. I was just looking out for you." But naming it, naming you. The word hangs, unfinished. The key gleams, a choice. Unlock or bury. What if control fights back, harder this time? Her breath steadies, rage blooming full. Truth's first spark, breaking free. The steam from Maya's coffee curled like a hesitant confession, twisting in the dim light of the corner cafe. She cradled the mug, her fingers tracing its chipped rim, knuckles white. Across the small table, Nadia leaned forward, her eyes steady, the social worker's gaze that always seemed to see through the cracks Maya tried to plaster over. "You can't keep burying it, Maya," Nadia said softly, her voice cutting through the hum of distant chatter. "That silence, it's not protecting you, it's chaining you. What if we recorded it? Just you, talking it out, like testimony, proof that it happened, that it hurt." Maya's breath hitched, anxiety coiling tight in her chest, a familiar vice squeezing her ribs. She glanced at the window, rain-streaked and blurring the world outside. Proof for who? Luca would just laugh it off, call me dramatic. And Amelia, she'd pretend she didn't hear. Her words tumbled out, unfinished, laced with the old fear. That speaking would shatter everything, leave her exposed, ungrateful. Nadia reached across, her hand warm on Maya's arm. "Not for them, for you, to hear your own voice." Finally claiming space, she pulled a small recorder from her bag, the confessional microphone glinting under the cafe's warm bulb. A sleek, unassuming thing, like a key to a locked room Maya had avoided for years. "Start small. One story. The way he twisted your choices, made you doubt your own steps. Let it out here, now." Maya's pulse raced, the weight of silence pressing down, heavy as the guilt she'd carried since childhood. But Nadia's touch grounded her, a quiet anchor, pulling her from the edge. What if this wasn't destruction, but release? She swallowed, eyes flicking to the mic. I don't know if I can, but okay, let's try. Just once. Nadia smiled, faint, but real, the tension easing as trust flickered between them. The recorder clicked on, waiting. Could Maya believe that voice might set her free? The dim light of Maya's apartment filtered through half-drawn blinds, casting long shadows across the cluttered coffee table. A single microphone stood propped on its stand, its black cord snaking to a laptop like a hesitant lifeline. Maya had set it up earlier, but now, as Amelia hesitated in the doorway, she second-guessed the choice. "Come in," Maya said, her voice steady, but laced with a tremor she couldn't quite shake. "I need you here, for real this time." Amelia stepped inside, her coat clutched tight like armor, eyes darting to the mic. "What's this for? Another one of your recordings?" She sank into the armchair, avoiding the couch where Maya sat, knees drawn up. "Every time you looked away, every time you laughed it off, it made me doubt myself more. Made me think I was the crazy one." Amelia's breath hitched, her hands clenching in her lap. The mic caught it all. The pause, stretching, the unspoken weight. Tears welled, unbidden, as memories surfaced. Luca's arm slung possessively over Maya's shoulder at dinners, his voice overriding hers, on everything from jobs to friends. Amelia had stayed quiet, telling herself it kept the peace. But now, hearing it named, the guilt bloomed, hot and unrelenting. I didn't know how to stop it," she whispered, voice breaking. "I was scared. Of him yelling, of losing what we had. But you're right. I enabled it. God, Maya, I'm so sorry." The words spilled out, halting at first, then freer, as if the mic had unlocked something. Maya nodded, her own guilt easing just a fraction, warmth seeping in where the ache had been. Relief, tentative but real, softened the lines around her eyes. They sat there, the red light on the recorder blinking steadily, capturing the shift, the first honest thread weaving between them. Amelia wiped her face, meeting Maya's gaze. "What now? Can we fix this without breaking everything?" The question lingered, unanswered, as the mic hummed softly in the quiet. The camera's red light blinks like a heartbeat in the dim editing suite, casting erratic shadows on the walls. Maya sits rigid in the confessional chair, the microphone dangling inches from her lips, a cold, unblinking witness that amplifies every tremor in her voice. Her hands twist in her lap, knuckles whitening as anxiety coils tight in her chest, a familiar vice squeezing her breath. Across the room, Luca leans against the console, arms crossed, his charming facade cracking under the glow of the monitor. He's here at her insistence, or maybe his own stubborn curiosity, but his jaw clenches as the footage rolls. "I remember the night of my graduation," Maya starts, her words halting, eyes fixed on the mic as if it alone can hold her steady. "You told me not to go out with friends. Said it was for my own good. You're too fragile, Maya. They'll eat you alive." But it wasn't about them. It was you, deciding what I could handle, like I was still that scared kid you bossed around. Her voice quivers, the anxiety peaking, sweat beading on her forehead. The handheld camera catches it all, the way her shoulders hunch, the flicker of old fear resurfacing. Luca shifts, his foot tapping an uneven rhythm against the floor, but he doesn't look away. The editor pauses the clip, layering in a close-up of young Maya's face from an old family video. Tear-streaked, compliant. She swallows hard, forcing the next memory out. And the job offer. "You called my boss, Luca. She's not ready," you said. took it away before I could even try. The words spill faster now, laced with a sharpening edge. Anxiety ebbs as resolve hardens her gaze. She leans into the mic, owning the exposure. It's external now, the tension humming between them, his discomfort a palpable force. Luca's eyes narrow at the screen, where the montage builds. Clips of her confessions intercut with home videos of him smiling, directing, always in control. He uncrosses his arms, fists balling at his sides, a flush creeping up his neck. "This is exaggerated," he mutters, but his voice lacks conviction, betraying the unease gnawing at him. Maya doesn't flinch. The microphone hums softly, capturing her steadying breath. "It wasn't exaggeration. It was you, every time." The editor nods, splicing in her words over footage of Luca watching now. His discomfort etched in every averted glance, every swallowed protest. The truth hangs raw in the air, demanding acknowledgement. Will he accept it? This unfiltered exposure that strips away his defenses. The session ends in silence, the red light fading, but the question lingers, unanswered, in the space between them. The dim light of Maya's apartment filtered through half-drawn blinds, casting long shadows across the cluttered coffee table. Luca stood in the doorway, his frame filling it like a barrier, arms crossed over his chest. "What the hell is this, Maya? That footage you showed me, it's twisted. You're making me out to be some monster. We were kids. It wasn't like that." His voice was low, edged with that familiar charm turned sharp, the one that always made her second guess. Maya sat on the edge of the couch, knees drawn up, her fingers twisting the hem of her sweater. Fear coiled in her gut, cold and familiar, whispering that speaking out would shatter everything. The fragile thread to her brother, to the family she'd fought so hard to hold together. "Luca, I just need you to hear it. What you did, the way you controlled everything. My friends, my choices. It wasn't nothing." He stepped closer, eyes narrowing, the air thickening with his denial. "Exaggerated. All of it. You're airing our dirty laundry for some video project? For what? Pity? Family sticks together, Maya. We don't drag this out in public. Drop it. For all our sakes." His words pressed like a hand on her shoulder, heavy, demanding silence. She felt the old pull, to nod, to swallow the truth, to keep the peace even as it choked her. Loneliness flashed in her mind. Those nights alone, after his outbursts. The empty echo of the house when she'd hidden in her room. Walls closing in tighter than any confession could. Her breath hitched, heart pounding. The fear surged, making her vision blur, losing him, losing them all. Adrift in isolation, worse than this ache. But beneath it, a spark flickered. The microphone on the table, its cord snaking like a lifeline, waiting from her last recording. She couldn't surrender, couldn't let silence win again. It had already stolen too much. Slowly, she reached for it, the cool metal grounding her trembling hand. Luca's face hardened. "What are you doing? Put that down." "No." Her voice cracked, but she switched it on, the faint hum filling the room. "I'm not dropping it. You controlled me for years, telling me what to feel, who to be. I remember the threats, the guilt trips. It hurt, Luca, and I'm done pretending it didn't." The words tumbled out, raw and halting, fear ebbing as resolve took root, her spine straightening. He loomed closer, jaw tight, the bond between them straining like a wire about to snap. Amelia's shadow lingering unspoken, a distant hope neither dared invoke. He turned away, muttering, "This will destroy us." But Maya held the mic steady, her pulse steadying. Could she shield herself like this? Voice her boundaries, without sealing herself off forever? The question hung, unanswered, in the charged silence. The therapy room smelled of chamomile tea and worn leather, sunlight slanting through half-drawn blinds like hesitant fingers. Maya sat on the edge of the couch, knees pressed together, her hands twisting the hem of her sweater. Across from her, Dr. Reyes leaned forward, voice steady as a metronome. Maya, guilt isn't a debt you owe for staying silent all those years. It's a shadow. Responsibility. That's what you choose now, speaking or not. But let's untangle them. What if the silence wasn't your fault to carry alone? Maya's mind churned, a storm of half-formed accusations. I let it happen. I chose quiet to keep the family whole. If I'd spoken sooner, Luca wouldn't. The thought looped, heavy as lead, pinning her chest. Guilt flooded in, hot and familiar, whispering she deserved the isolation, the fracture. She glanced at Nadia beside her, best friend, reluctant witness today, eyes soft but unyielding. Nadia's presence grounded her, a quiet anchor amid the unraveling. Try this, Dr. Reyes said, sliding the therapy journal across the low table. Its cover was soft, edges frayed from months of Maya's reluctant scribbles, pages of fragmented confessions, symbols of a voice clawing free. Write a letter, not to Luca, not yet, to yourself. What boundaries would you set if guilt wasn't the gatekeeper? Maya's fingers hesitated over the pen. The journal opened like an invitation to fracture. Why me? I stayed silent to protect them. Amelia, Luca, they needed that illusion. But Dr. Reyes's words pierced. You weren't responsible for his control, Maya. You survived it. Guilt says you failed. Compassion says you endured. The pen met paper, ink blooming slow. Dear Maya, she wrote, breath catching. You didn't cause the shadows, the texts that twisted your choices, the way he dangled the old key like a threat. You carried that alone because you thought silence was love. But it wasn't your burden to swallow. From now on, your voice decides. No more apologies for feeling the hurt. Boundaries. I won't answer his urgent calls without breathing first. I won't let guilt rewrite what he did. The words flowed, jagged at first, then steadier. Guilt ebbed, loosening its grip, replaced by a tentative warmth. Self-compassion, like sunlight warming chilled skin. Nadia reached over, squeezing her hand, fragments of shared shame dissolving in the touch. Trust solidified there, unspoken. Dr. Reyes nodded. See? You're not judging the girl who stayed quiet. You're honoring her strength. Maya closed the journal, the weight lighter now. But in the quiet, the question lingered, unanswered. Could she truly claim her pain without the sting of self-blame, turning it to ash? The afternoon light slanted through the blinds of Maya's cramped apartment, casting striped shadows across the coffee table, cluttered with half-empty mugs, and Nadia's old therapy journal. Maya sat on the edge of the worn couch, her fingers twisting the hem of her sweater, eyes fixed on Amelia across from her. The air felt thick, like the pause before a storm, internal, churning. I've been carrying this too, you know, Maya said, her voice steady, but laced with the raw edge of persistence. Not just what Luca did, the silence, our silence. It let him keep going, like we were all in on it. Amelia shifted in her chair, gaze dropping to her hands, knuckles whitening. Doubt flickered in her eyes, a shadow of the old family myth. We're fine. We're united. Speaking up shatters everything. She opened her mouth, closed it, the words catching like thorns. I didn't want to be the one who broke us, she whispered, finally, voice trembling. I stayed quiet because I was scared. Scared he'd turn on me next, or that you'd hate me for not stepping in. But it wasn't protection. It enabled him. Let the poison spread. The confession hung there, vulnerable and sharp, cracking the myth they'd both clung to. Maya's breath hitched, a wave of relief washing over her. Not triumph, but the quiet unburdening of being truly heard. For the first time, the weight in her chest eased, allowing space for something lighter, freer. She reached for the confessional microphone on the table, its cord snaking like a lifeline, and slid it toward her sister. Then say it. Record it. Let it out with me. Amelia's fingers hovered over the mic, hesitation warring with the pull of release. She glanced up, meeting Maya's eyes, and in that shared gaze, alienation began to dissolve into something tentative. Joint, a testimony forged in the open. The theme of silence as silent complicity sharpened against this truth. Speaking didn't destroy. It liberated, piece by jagged piece. But as Amelia leaned in, mic in hand, the question lingered unspoken between them. Could she finally hear her sister fully, accept the silence's full cost, without the old fears pulling her back? The dim glow of the laptop screen bathed Luca's face in a pallid blue, the only light in his sparse living room. He sat rigid on the edge of the couch, remote in hand, the cursor hovering over play. Maya's voice emanated from the speakers, calm, unyielding, recounting that summer evening when he'd dismissed her tears as drama, twisting her words until she doubted her own mind. The edited footage cut seamlessly, her present-day eyes, steady into the confessional microphone, intercut with grainy recreations of their childhood home. The key she'd once clutched, like a talisman, now dangling forgotten on a hook in the frame. He paused it, breath shallow. She's making it sound so calculated, he thought, arms crossing tight against his chest. The cold detachment settled in, a familiar armor, facts blurred, intentions noble in his memory. But the screen pulled him back. He hit play. Maya's words layered on. He'd say it was for my own good, but it was control. Every time I spoke up, her resolve didn't waver. No cracks for him to exploit. No room for his old rebuttals. The montage screen flickered, a mosaic of her pain rendered undeniable. Clips he'd insisted were exaggerated, now looped in high definition. Her voice a quiet hammer. Sweat beaded on his temple. Why does this feel real? The thought wormed in, thawing the frost. He leaned closer, the glow warming his skin as empathy crept, restrained but insistent. A soft ache for the sister he'd shaped into silence. No excuses rose. The footage stripped them bare. He stopped it mid-sentence, her face frozen in quiet defiance. Fingers trembled over his phone. He typed, I watched. I'm sorry. I see it now. Your pain. I'll respect your space. Sent. The screen went dark, but the question lingered in the empty room. Could he finally stop fighting and let her truth stand? The camera's red light blinks like a hesitant heartbeat in the dim glow of Maya's apartment. She stands alone in the center of the room. The confessional microphone clipped to her shirt, its cord snaking to the tripod like a lifeline. Her hands tremble as she reaches for the small white candle on the wooden table, unlit, waiting. The air feels thick, pressing against her chest, a familiar anxiety clawing up from her gut. This is it, she thinks. The final one. What if speaking it all out loud snuffs me out? What if the light I kindle here dims my voice forever? She flicks the match, the sulfur sharp in her nostrils. The flame dances briefly before touching the wick. It catches, a tiny bloom of orange against the shadows, casting flickering patterns on the walls, walls that once trapped her silences. Maya inhales sharply, her breath ragged, eyes fixed on the camera. The lens stares back, unblinking, demanding she play the part. Not just survivor, but the actress of her own ending. I light this for the girl I was, she starts, voice cracking like thin ice. Her fingers hover near the flame, heat prickling her skin, a reminder of the burn of old shame. The one who swallowed words to keep the peace. Luca, you built walls around us all, and I let them stand because I thought silence was love. Anxiety coils tighter, her free hand fists at her side, nails digging in. She wants to blow it out, retreat to the dark where hurts hide. But no, silence is forbidden now, postponing the truth even more so. The candle's steady burn mocks her waver. She steps closer to the lens, the flame reflecting in her eyes. Amelia, sister, you've crossed into this light with me. Our shared words, they're the alliance I never knew I needed. Viewers, whoever you are, this isn't just my story. It's a boundary. My pain isn't yours to erase or forgive on my behalf. The words tumble out, halting at first, laced with tremor. But as she speaks of hope, of mornings without the weight of guilt, of therapy journals filled with reclaimed lines, her shoulders ease, the anxiety uncoils, breath steadying into rhythm with the candle's quiet flicker. This flame, she says softly, gaze softening. It's my voice, burning brighter because I spoke. I choose boundaries now, not to punish, but to heal. Hope isn't fragile. It's this light, enduring. The camera holds her face, the ritual sealing the cycle. Farewell to the old cage, confession etched for the world. She exhales, calm washing over her like dawn. The question lingers unspoken in the air. Can she kindle this light without silencing her song? But the steady glow answers. For now,